Hey, how's it going guys? Ancient Rune here with a Diablo 4 build video, and today I'll be going over my Blood Wave Necro build. Now, I'm sure this late into the season, plenty of people know Necro's good, but I'm still getting into this season, and after being gone from a while from Diablo, so I'm having fun with this, and thought I'd just post my version of it before going more in depth with builds, as I'm using this build to then farm for the better builds, as this is the meta. Apparently can hit up to the pit 150, can hit there. I'm around the 100s pretty easily without perfectly min-maxing, so this is going to be focused on non-ubers, as well as not focusing on the master working as much as just getting the basic gear. This I still try and min-max this as much as possible, but if I miss anything or if there's any improvements, be sure to let me know, and I'll try and prioritize stuff to what you need. But before we get into this, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Diablo 4 content. So first off, with Blood Wave, we have a couple things that are going to be a must-have. First thing is going to be the fast blood aspect, which when you get blood orbs, it will reduce your ultimate cooldown. This is going to be a very important thing, as this will help you cycle Blood Wave as fast as possible, so you need this. Even at the 1 second it'll work. Of course, the higher you go, the better cooldown you have, but it still works low because I had it at low before. You will also want to make sure you get the ultimate shadow, as this will turn your Blood Wave into darkness skill, which means you get a bunch more multipliers and damage into Blood Wave, making it deal even more damage. And then you also have the Kesami's Legacy, which will now form blood waves on the side of you, doing more damage with each hit, and just more damage in general, and just hitting more areas. And then you want to get the title aspect, as this will grant 2 additional waves, as well as dealing even more damage. But you can no longer recast it until the last wave ends, but that's fine. There's no problem with that, as you're just dealing a lot of damage. And then all the other aspects are mainly around survivability and damage. One of the big things I like to use is the Cursed Aura, as this will give free Decrepify and Iron Maiden, which is just really good for easy curses for just even more damage boost without technically having to go down those skills or cast them, but I still do a little bit. But now we'll go down the gear. So first off, I have the Might aspect, which gives damage reduction, which is really nice. And then we have Intelligence, max health, and cooldown. You could also go stuff like crit chance or lucky crit chance. I don't have much lucky crit chance on this build, but I haven't had too much problems with it or without it, so not too much to worry about. I'd make sure you get a good amount of cooldown, as having more cooldown here means less blood orbs you have to get. I have been messing with some stuff on my amulets and rings, and just kind of theorizing that I may not need as much because so many blood orbs spawn, but that'll still require more testing. But since I'm mainly only doing the basic skill and the blood wave on this build until I hit higher tiers, I can pretty easily keep this damage reduction up. Intelligence is there for more damage. Max health also increases your damage since we're going overpower, and then the cooldown for the blood wave. And then I just have lucky hit for a chance to stun, which is nice. I have been able to cycle corpse tendrils pretty well now, so I'll probably get rid of that, but just because we're hitting so many times, it's pretty easy to get a lucky hit chance. But then we have Drain Vitality, which is going to be getting us some Fortify. Since we're hitting enemies with blood skills all the time, it's pretty easy to hit that. I only have 1 point in it right now, just with this helmet I have. And then we're going to put Topaz in here for some more intelligence. Now, with prioritizing what you get with ancestral gear, any of these are good. I just have intelligence right now, as it just gives me more damage, while getting max life can also be really good for this, because it gives more damage as well as survivability, and you'll just have more health. And then we have the Hardened Bones, which is also even more damage reduction. Now, I don't have it on this build right now, but the one that gives those stacks of increased armor is really good, and I used that earlier on when I couldn't reach my armor threshold, so that will be really nice. Now on here I go the intelligence and max life. I try and go that with every single armor piece on here, and sometimes it changes up, but instead of going something like crit chance on here or lucky hit, I go armor just to help with even more with armor. And this entire chest is mainly focused on armor, having total armor as well as spiked armor. Then we also go intelligence, and then with prioritizing like whatever we get boosting, intelligence max life is just really good to get increased on there. And then the gloves here, we have the ultimate shadow placed on here, as well as intelligence, max life, and crit chance. I'd prioritize intelligence and max life, but crit chance is still very helpful as you will be getting more damage from it because you're critting more, and their crit boost is just really good. And then we have damage while fortified and then spiked armor. You'll see a lot of damage while fortified as well as damage while healthy because of Blood Wave benefiting from it, but I'll go over that boost later. Just keep that in mind while we are going this. Spiked armor is just going to be really good for having more survivability with more armor. You basically can just mess around with actually speccing in points to this. Like right now I don't have any, but you can spec in points here depending on how much armor you have. A lot of this with armor and resistances is just working around with what you have at that moment. So because with the loot variation, you can't always get what you want. And then we just have ultimate shadow going. The main thing here is just the darkness skills. The damage it gives is also really nice, but turning into darkness is the main deal, as just having shadow boost is huge damage boost, and one of the reasons why this is Blood Wave is so good. And then Customity's Legacy has the Blood Wave here with the special effect, which I already went over, but mainly I would try to boost the chance for Blood Wave to deal double damage, as well as possibly Blood Wave cooldown reduction, as that's a big thing. I have 71% Blood Wave deal double damage right now, as it has the star boost as well as masterwork boosting. And what also this does is casting Bloodify fortifies you for a lot of your health, which makes it pretty easy to fortify here, which is why a lot of places we don't focus too much on fortify, since we're usually always going to be fortified anyways. And then with the runes here, I go the Igni Quack Sacrifice, where stores offering every 0.3 seconds, and then casting a non-basic skill gains this offering, since we're constantly activating Blood Wave, which is non-basic, as well as having other stuff like Blood Mist, Light, Corpse Explosion, and Corpse Tendrils. Easy to stack this up. And then we have the next non-basic cast spends all of your primary resource to deal up to 100 damage, 100 increased damage based on the percent of resource spent. So this is just really, really good to have, as it's just kind of passively gaining, and I don't always find it needed, but I'm sure once you go higher up, it's going to be more important. And then on the boots, for the like dashing, I don't know if I would prefer the dash with the movement speed or the extra dashes. I'd go either of those two. I wouldn't go the attacks reduce evade cooldown, most likely. It's really the least important part here, but here I have intelligence, max life, and movement speed. Movement speed's just really nice for getting around. I'm also just always a fan of movement speed in all games because I like to move fast. I would say it's probably the least important, but sometimes movement speed does help for getting around to places, and it also just helps clear speed as you're getting from point A to point B, as some enemies are spaced out, especially in bigger areas. And then for the tempering, I have the curse size, and then ideally I want movement speed here as well, but I only was able to get movement speed after killing an elite, so I will be looking for an upgrade on these boots soon. But curse size is just really nice, as we already have the curses on here. This just means more enemies can get hit, and because on here we do go a little bit into Decrepify, for the Abhorrent Decrepify, where enemies afflicted have a chance to reduce your active cooldowns, which is good for Blood Wave, but also really good for Corpse Tendrils. So that's just a really nice reason to have it, and it is noticeable to have that boost. And then we have the Cursed Aura Augment again. The spread of the curse doesn't really matter as much since it's pretty easy to just hit the enemies, but having lower cooldown is nice as it will just hit more enemies, which is always helpful. And then with the Masterworking, I'd probably go max health or intelligence here. I just have some movement speed boost here. I haven't gone much into these boots. And then for the amulet really depends. Now, I have Tides of Blood right now. You could also go Colleg's Blood. I don't know how to say it. I don't feel like learning how to. I like Tides of Blood more, as you can overall, I feel like, get more damage since the boost is doubled while you're healthy, but this is for overpower damage. But where basically every single attack we are dealing is going to be overpowered with Blood Wave. So just having this with the increased damage while healthy will still be good. And also, like, ideally you could get both of them with intelligence boost, but it's, from my experience, it's been really hard to do so. I'm still grinding, but I did figure finally out that doing the Razors stuff, the Undercity, is really good for farming that. So I've been farming the Undercity for trying to get better equipment, but this is also a really nice place where you can increase your armor from either the armor passive or the armor tempering, as sometimes you don't have as much armor as you need. So I've gotten pretty lucky, but always had to re-roll for my skills to be better. So I have intelligence with the star on both of these, with max health and Tides of Blood. Max health is just also really good. And then in tempering, I have armor and then damage while fortified. Also the option of ultimate cooldown reduction, but I was messing with armor instead, as when I was going with the Shroud of False Death, you have less armor because I focused so much on armor on my chest plate that I needed more armor somewhere. So I went with on the amulet, but I didn't want it like on the top passives and just wanted it on the tempering. But really just intelligence, Tides of Blood or Colleg's Blood, and then damage while fortified, and then either total armored or cooldown reduction. And then max life is just kind of easy to get and helpful, so I say why not. You can also get cooldown reduction on here. Movement speed's nice, but I don't have the space for movement speed here. There's a good amount of stuff you could go, but then we go the Pogiac Furor. I don't know how to say that, but it increases your ultimate skill damage with a mult up to 150% damage. Casting your ultimate skill does it, and it is up to 10 stacks. And then at 10 stacks, it resets. So you get this pretty easily since you can honestly really easily upgrade it. And then I go the Phantom String Gem, which gives the increased armor and resistance. These gems are really important, and I definitely recommend going for, as it's just easy armor and really easy resistance. Now you can get this resistance just from the Paragon, but getting that Paragon up and hitting those resistances can suck sometimes. So this is just easy Paragon, but we go this as we deal times 15 increase, or times 15% increased overpower damage to hexed enemies. And since we have hexes going on, getting this damage is pretty easy. So it's really just free damage mult. And then for the rings, you mainly want to look for intelligence and max health. And then the rings with like the resistance stuff, I'd prioritize that the least, and then just balance stuff as you can with resistances, as once you get further along, the ring resistance should matter less, but definitely something you can try and focus on. And then I would go with either lucky hit chance to make enemies vulnerable is just really nice and passive, while you can just use corpse tendrils, and I've been messing with that. you also have crit chance, which is really nice, just getting a bunch of crit chance as I have on my second ring. But you want to make sure you have damage while fortified on both of these. And then on one of these, casting ultimate skills restores primary resource. Since when we're casting our resource, a lot of times we will just completely drain it. Having this is just really easy to get it back up. Now, I don't think you need the vulnerable part, and I think that's the least important. That's why I have that on the reroll, as well as the crit chance, as I'd rather just focus on the intelligence and max life. I may change it to crit chance at some point, I'm not sure, but damage while fortified is really important on the bottom parts. And then for the aspects, I have the fast blood again, you want it on the ring. And then we have the Behemoth's Brawlers, which is the casting an ultimate skill, increases your damage up to 30% and grants additional ultimate skill ranks. Now, this 30% of the 30% isn't as much as some other stuff, but it gives additional ranks to your ultimate skills, which just means more damage, which is really nice. And then I have the Friend of the Bog Ring, which when you have 3 or more growth and decay witch powers equipped, you gain times 8% main core stat, which would be intelligence, as well as 10% maximum life and unhindered. And max life also increases our damage, which is really good. And then unhindered just means that we can pass through enemies easily, which is just nice. But the core stat and the max health are the huge things here, and we will be having at least 3 growth and decay witch powers, so this is really nice. And then we have Voice of the Star gems, which gives you that armor and resistance, as well as the other one does. But this will also, when you have an aura active, your ultimate skills are now also Eldritch, Growth and Decay, and Psych. Now this is really important because this just will give them those damage sources, so anything that increases damage for these guys, like these types of damage sources, will now increase blood wave, which is really nice. And then your ultimate skills also just have a 10% multiplier of increased damage. And now for the weapon. Now my weapon isn't the best. I'm missing some stuff, but it's not bad. So what we have here is you're going to want to make sure you have the title aspect on here, as it'll give that increased boost from being two-handed, because we have a two-handed mace. We have the mace because it gives overpower damage, and since we're constantly overpowering, this is just really nice. And then you're going to want to make sure you have intelligence, max health, and then overpower damage. I'd focus on that intelligence and max health, as overpower damage is additive with a bunch of other boosts. It's not bad because you have to multiply boost with something, but it's probably least important. But this kind of farm wasn't too bad for me. It was mainly just getting an ancestral version. And then you're going to want to make sure to get Titan's Fall, as that will increase damage with elites when you are fortified, and you're always fortified. So this is just free damage for elites, and that's mainly where you're going to have problem killing stuff. So you're going to make sure to have that. And then I have blood overpower damage here, but you're going to want to make sure you get damage while fortified, as that will go into blood waves multiplier, which again we'll go over later. So you want to make sure you have that. And then we have the Zan Vex combo, where when you cast an ultimate skill, you gain that damage or that resource, and then you will use that resource and gain +1 to all skills, which includes blood wave. So that's just easy there because it's 150 and 150. So you just activate your ultimate skill, and then boom, you have your skill increase for 10 seconds. And it can also go up to 3 skills, which is just really good and really easy to stack as well. Now you'll see I do have all ancestral stuff, but that's just because I've been now farming this for a while. But this works plenty without the ancestrals, and you just want to make sure you go for these specific stuff. I was doing blood or corpse explosion because I found it fun, but I wasn't reaching anywhere near high damage here. I was doing like 60 million at max, and now I'm dealing upon 100 billion maybe right now, and that'll just get even further. But now we'll go over Book of the Dead. We want to go to the Reapers and sacrifice for shadow damage. Now, because we are now having our blood wave count as shadow as well, free increased damage. This is one of the huge reasons why converting to shadow damage is because of this boost, because you either have resistance or crit strike chance. You could go resistance while building up stuff. And then we have the increase to overpower damage as we're constantly overpowering enemies. And then with the golems, we have the increased crit strike damage as that's just a really good boost. You could also go max health, but I choose to go the crit strike damage here. All right, and now for the skill tree. So for the basic skill, you can go decompose. I like to do this because it's easy to form a corpse. It also will explode, cause an explosion when creating a corpse, which I then use with acolytes decompose, which make enemies vulnerable. Just another easy way to make enemies vulnerable. I do already have it on this ring here, but I've been experimenting with different stuff. You could also go reap for that damage reduction, which is just really nice. You can also get some attack speed from that. And then also form a corpse if you'd like, or you can just not go here. And then we go Blight. This is really just for this damage boost. We only really need this with bossing, as using this could consume all of our essence from the skill here that consumes all of our primary resource, which would then take it away from Blood Wave. Now, once you get higher up, maybe if you're around Elite, you may want to use it, but it just kind of depends. Then we go Hued Flesh, which has a chance to spawn a corpse at a location and doubled against bosses. Now, we are constantly killing enemies, but this just helps keep it up, especially during bossing. It helps keep up our corpses that we will need to increase our damage. Then we have Blood Mist. This is just really good for survivability. If you get stuck somewhere, you can become immune and move away. I go all the way down. We go Enhanced Blood Mist, casting an overpower skill. Reduces Blood Mist cooldown. We're constantly overpowering, so this is just really nice. And then you can go either Dreadful or Ghastly. Ghastly helps movement speed and applying vulnerable, while Blood Mist increases crit chance and crit damage. I would go this. I don't constantly go Blood Mist, but I'm not pushing super far in pit tiers right now, so I don't exactly need to. And then we go Corpse Explosion. This helps because we're going Darkness for attack, and then also because we need to consume corpses for a bunch of damage boost. This radius does not matter, and then this being Darkness doesn't matter too much. It mainly just helps with getting Darkness boost for Reaper's Pursuit, but it does help with stuff like Gloom. Applying that is really nice, but mainly just getting that Darkness bonus. And then we have Fueled by Death, increasing our damage when we consume a corpse. And then these skills, these three, I really just kind of mess with. Titan's Fall, sometimes I'll take out of because I already have a bunch of points from my weapon. Mainly because a lot of times I'll have enough damage and I'll want to go something more survivability like Spiked Armor, or maybe I want some extra move speed from Death's Approach, or maybe I want some lucky hit chance from Precision Decay. It's just, I would experiment with it. I don't need extra armor right now for Spiked Armor, but if I go with Ubers, I might. But so we go Necrotic Fortitude. You could also experiment with how many you need of these. At least one is nice to have a chance for a barrier. There's other stuff getting barrier stuff, so not exactly needed. And then we have the Titan's Fall for Fortifies, increased damage to elites. This includes bosses. And then Spiked Armor for the increased armor. And then the blockchains is pretty nice. Then down here we have Death's Embrace, close enemies deal increased damage. But then you gain damage reduction, which is why I always take it, because stacking damage reduction can be really nice. Especially when you have that maximum armor and resistance already, then you have the max health and damage reduction being really good. And then we go Amplify Damage, as we always have enemies cursed. We don't really have anything for feared, but because of having the cursed aura, we're constantly cursing enemies. And then we do go Decrepify to get down to Abhorrent Decrepify. Now, this part with the stunning is not terrible, but not always needed. But this just allows us to decrease our cooldown, which I do notice, especially for Corpse Tendrils being better. And then you also just do Cycle Blood Wave even faster, to where when Blood Wave is ready to be used again, the cooldown's done, so it's really easy. And you don't have to go points into these, but you can. But you'll still benefit from all the curse stuff. It just automatically applies. And then we go Coex Blood for the times increased damage while healthy. We are always, pretty much always healthy. You should always be healthy. because we're constantly picking up blood orbs, so this is just constantly happening. And then blood skills deal increased damage from overpower damage, and then doubled while healthy, so you'd be getting boost from this, and then an extra boost with Tides of Blood while healthy, which is just really nice. And then we're constantly overpowering, so that's really nice. And then we have Corpse Tendril. This is here to stun enemies, slow them, and then also make them vulnerable, and just pull them all in together. We already have stuff pushing in enemies, but even more drawing enemies closer is just really nice. So that's why we go play Corpse Tendrils. Blighted Corpse Tendrils does spawn blood orbs, but we already have so many blood orbs spawning that this would just be overkill. And then because we have the darkness tag with the blood wave, we have Reaper's Pursuit. Each darkness skill on your action bar gains increased movement speed and damage. Movement speed is really nice, but we have 3 here, or actually 4 here, which is really easy boost. You could also throw in more, like you could throw Reap here instead, like Corpse Tendrils or Blood Mist. Sometimes if I'm trying to speed farm something with low health, I'll throw on more, as I mainly during that only need to hit Blood Wave, sometimes Decompose. So just having those is really nice. Would really literally only take 1 skill to just throw that on. So you could throw that on, like you could throw Reap on here and then Sever right here, and then just have Decompose and Blood Wave, and then just have lots of stacks here getting increased damage, but mainly movement speed. And then we go Gloom, as this will gain increased damage, and this stacks up to 4 times. So this is times 24 increased damage. And then we have Terror, where you deal 9% increased shadow damage to enemies that are slowed or chilled. And then an additional 9% enemies to enemies who are stunned, immobilized, or frozen. And these bonuses can stack. And so since we have Corpse Tendrils slowing and stunning, and then we have other stuff stunning, making enemies vulnerable and all that, this is pretty easy to get set up and being dealt. And then we have Blood Wave. So I know I was talking about fortified damage and then also while healthy damage, because at rank 5 Blood Wave gets increased damage by 30% of your damage while healthy and damage while fortified bonuses, and that will be a molt. So as you can see here, I have times 281.1% increased damage, which is insane, as well as just having damage boost from other stuff increasing damage. So it's just damage on damage going on, which is nuts. And then you'll want to make sure that you go the Prime Blood Wave here to gain damage reduction. And then we have Supreme Blood Wave dropping blood orbs as it travels, which means that we're always getting blood orbs for fast blood, which is just a constant loop, as well as any blood orbs just being spawned. So this is just really easy to do. And then here we have Finality. After casting an ultimate skill, deal increased damage. Always casting blood skills, so this should always be up. Memento Mori has increased damage to your sacrifices. And then we have Standalone, which is more damage reduction, which is really nice. And then we have Inspiring Leader for increased crit damage. So these are all just really good boosts. And then we go Rathima's Vigor. After being healthy for 15 seconds, your next blood skill overpowers. This timer is reduced by 2 seconds for each blood orb heal or overheal, and you deal 120% times increased overpower damage. And so since we're constantly picking up blood orbs, this is active every single time we are ready to activate a blood skill, which is Blood Wave. And then we have the Paragon board. Quickly, I'm gonna explain what I do, and then I'll just kind of freeze on frame. I'll also have a link to D4 builds on it. So here we're kind of just getting down the board, as well as the glyph socket. Now, depending on the points you have, if you're going lower points, I'd probably just go around to 1. I do overspec stuff here, but it's only because I have the extra points mainly. Here we have, so I'd honestly, when earlier on, I'd go around up here, so you can get the resistances, go up here, get this glyph socket, and then go up. And then you're just going to hit the bonuses as you need to, and then just ignore this area. Otherwise, you can go down. We'd go down here for more max life. Max life is really good because that goes into our overpower. All of our overpower damage here. So This is just really helpful, but can be extra. And then the glyph here we have is going to be in Embimber. This is for the damage while healthy boost, and then you get even more when you get the legendary bonus. The additional bonus with the potion healing does not really matter that much. It's really just for the while healthy that goes into the blood wave boost. So then we'll go up and we're going to go with the bloodbath going first, and I have it set up this way. So bloodbath is here and the glyph is right here, and then I go up. Now something I did find with this build is that I don't need a lot of these boosts early on. So I mainly just go around and I get survivability stuff, and then I also will just aim for these glyphs. So that's something I would recommend while Paragon farming, is just kind of ignoring this. If you find you do need the damage, then you can switch this up. When I'm building my Paragon, I mean, I'm 220 now, but that was not the case for a while, of course, as you grind. And so you'll want to prioritize stuff like this one. I would not to worry about this glyph. So this one here, which is Dominate, is the overpower damage is good. It's really good, but it's not going into as many multipliers, so I wouldn't focus as much. But this is what I do go. I only have the maximum I need to unlock the additional bonus, which is why I'm mainly using it for that times increase. Overpower damage is good, but we already have a lot. So I'm basically just getting the willpower here like this. And then also getting that damage while fortified aspects over here, which will then go into our damage boost. But then we're going to go around here, get that maximum life as well as damage while fortified. And then we'll loop around here and go and get the bloodbath right here. This is going to be either a lot for increasing our damage with our blood skills. And then I will loop around here, get some resistances as needed, as well as damage reduction. And then I just go one down here as we get some extra intelligence compared to going up here. And then we'll go around. You can ignore this. This is just me going down to resistances. I say ignore it, but if you're not worrying about glyphs too much, then you can hit this. Earlier on, I also did go for this poison resistance stuff, as it's nice to get, but later on I didn't need it. But then we go down here and I get this glyphs for dealing increased damage to elites. It's just pretty easy, and then it also increases bonus to normal nodes, which I really like. And this is the Eliminator glyph. It's just easy damage to elites, which you mainly need. There are other stuff, like I could go this one, Essence, with the crit strikes, dealing increased damage to not healthy enemies, and I may eventually go that. I may replace it, but I'm not sure yet. I mean, there's so much to experiment and so much flexibility on here. You could also go Amplify for increasing curse damage, as this is always active, but I go some other things. So you'll see here, I get this right here. We got 10 intelligence here, 7, 7, 7, 7, just because this also increases normal nodes. So this will be really nice when I have those extra Paragon points that I can get extra intelligence here for boosting. Then we go up and we get Flesh Eater. I guess I should have mentioned that we go the Flesh Eater board here with the increasing corpses, and then we go up and get some maximum life as well. And we go around here, and then we are at this area, which is going to be the frailty, which is the cursed enemies take increased damage up to 40%. This is really good because we have that cursed aura going on. So we go around and I go far here, and we go around and get the control glyph, which deals 20% increase to crowd control enemies. I go this because it's a higher boost and an additional bonus compared to other stuff, as well as a good amount of boost to crowd controlled enemies, and we are crowd controlling a lot of enemies with stunning them and slowing them and all that. But then we'll go up, and you can go around here and get some more attack speed as well as max health, but I wouldn't focus as much on this. And then we go up and around and we hit frailty. And then if you need more element resist or armor or shadow resistance, you can come up here and grab stuff. A lot of the resistance stuff and health kind of depends on how I'm doing on stuff. Now, you always want to get max health. Like, after you get your primary stuff, you'll definitely want to get max health, or just go after max health after your primaries, before your primary stuff for damage, as max health is survivability and damage for overpower damage. So this is where we stop right here, and then you can go up and around. Now, which way you go first depends on what you want to, because with this glyph we do go the Undaunted. Now, you don't have to put these glyphs in these specific spots. This board is not perfectly min-maxed, I don't think, and also some of these aspects will depend on your boost that you have specifically. So we'll be around like the bloodbath area, and we'll go up. We'll get some fortified generation, as well as damage reduction while fortified here, which is just really good survivability. Then we'll go up and go in for extra intelligence points, and then we'll go in here and we'll go up and around to get blood begets blood, as we're going with blood orbs, constantly picking up blood orbs. So this is really good. But then we're also going to go up and get the Undaunted. Now, this will gain damage reduction while fortified, which mainly I go for damage, but damage reduction is nice. But we are getting damage here for the damage while fortified, which will go into blood wave, just like the damage while healthy. So that is just really good to get. And also on this board, there are some damage while healthy. Got some damage while healthy over here that I need to get. And then we just reach for some max health stuff. What's really nice with some of these areas is that max health is like right there. So you can just go a couple points to reach some more, which I really like. So that's it for these boards. So we'll go the Mercenaries. I like to go over here. He has really good stuff. Right here's just good for survivability and some damage increase, but the survivability is nice. As we know, survivability is huge on Diablo 4. So we go Valiance, and then we go Ground Slam, which then leads us to right here's Aegis, which gets that increased resistance to all elements, which is just really nice. Other thing would be Healing Potion after using that taunts enemies. Not bad either, but I'd rather go for the resistance. And then we go Bastion, as this protects us, as well as leading to when we're here, Ground Slams, enemies taken by that gain increased damage, or we gain increased damage. And then allies affected by right here's Bastion deal 25% increased damage. So this is just really good. And then for the reinforcement, I like to go Aldkin. I like to go this for the slowing down enemies, as well as reducing their damage for better survivability. There's arguments for every reinforcement, so you can choose what you want. But then you want to make sure you go Blood Wave, as this is going to be one of our most used skills. So this will constantly be activated when it's off cooldown. And then finally, we have the Witchcraft. So we go Aura Siphoning for our better survivability, as well as having Growth of Decay and an Aura. Then we have Purging Torch. Eldritch effects gain increased damage to all enemies. This means that it will boost our Blood Waves, because Blood Wave now counts as Eldritch. So this is really good. Then we have Hexa Whisperers, cleanses you and gains Fortify. Soul Harvest for increased primary stat, which is just means more intelligence. And then we have Aura Specialization, which you gain increased aura size, which is really nice, as well as increased crit strike damage within your aura. And then we go Pyronado for drawing in enemies and pulling them together, which is just really nice, grouping them together to activate Blood Wave, so all enemies are right there. There's also a good amount of flexibility here, so you can do whatever you want. In the end of the day, you're going to be changing stuff up with your armor, health, and resistances, mainly your armor and resistances, because you want to make sure you max those out while still having good life, still having good damage reduction and everything there, as well as still having good damage. So prioritize as you want. Plenty of stuff. I will also have this build linked in D4 builds. I am messing with going Ubers. I have Shroud of Faith going, and then also working on getting the Heir of Perdition, which will be really nice to get. Now when I'm going Shroud of Faith, I'm also getting extra armor here with my amulet, so I still got a lot to mess with there. But that's it for this video. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to the channel for more Diablo 4 content. If you have any questions, make sure to comment. If I missed anything or I can improve, make sure to comment as well. I am looking at more builds. I'm probably going to go with some Blood Surge next, because I've always wanted to do a good Blood Surge build, and I heard it's pretty good this season, so I'll be doing that. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.